Welcome to this year's Understanding China conference organized by the EU SME Centre in China. My name is Liam Jia. I'm the team leader of the EU SME Centre in Phase 5. My great pleasure to make a quick introduction to the Understanding China conference. First of all, welcome to all the participants, and I see many familiar faces, and for those of you who has followed the EU SME Centre Understanding China conference and the other activities we do, welcome back to the session today. The Understanding China conference is an occasion where we brought all our stakeholders based in Europe, but also in China, for discussion about doing business in China. Looking at the program of today's, we start with introduction and discussion about EU-China trade relations, to the discussions around the latest developments and strategic plannings from China, specifically about the 14th five-year plan and its implementations. And in the afternoon session, we're also going to delve into discussions around de-risking, but de-risking without decoupling. We invited economists, think tanks, and policy analysts for also interesting panel discussions. And this year, we also brought to your attention about topics related to green transition and the innovation ecosystem in China. Last but not least, what's growingly interesting for European SMEs who are exporting to the Chinese markets, the understanding analysis on the China's consumer markets will also be discussed during today's session. And we hope after this one-day rich program, we hope after today's conference, and for those of you in your capacity as trade promotion organizations, as business support organizations, to inform, to have a better understanding about what to inform about the SMEs in your network. And we hope all of you by the end of the day will have a better understanding about the latest developments in the Chinese markets to be better prepared for doing business in and with China. Without further ado, we start today's conference with institutional remarks, opening remarks. To start with, we will have the honor to have Mr. Igor Kalinic, Head of Sector for Competitiveness, Internationalization at the European Innovation Council and the Executive Agency for SMEs, EISMEA, from the European Commission, followed by Mr. Lorenzo Riccardi, the Chairman of the China-Italy Chamber of Commerce, but also representing the EU SME Centre Phase 5 Consortium as the coordinator of the consortium. Igor, please, may I pass the floor to you?
Good morning and good afternoon in China. Welcome everybody on behalf of the European Commission. As Liam introduced me, my name is Igor Kalinic. I'm Head of Sector on Internationalization and Competitiveness in the Executive Agency that deals with the SMEs and innovation. Now, I would like to point it out, it's internationalization and competitiveness. And actually, this goes hand in hand. So if we want to have our companies competitive, they have to be international. By accident, I also more or less studied international business and entrepreneurship, and I did my PhD in internationalization of SMEs. And basically, something that we don't really realize, even the bakery down the road is in a way in international business, because there's almost no business that is sourcing everything locally, not internationally. And so they are also affected by global trends and what is going, for example, a coffee place, from where you want to get your coffee, from Ethiopia, from Brazil, from around the world. So it's again, in a way, international. But going back to the point, the focus of today, which is China, well, you know, China is not just manufacturing, of course, we all know that, but it's also innovation, but it also has become, through the years, also world leader in certain sectors. For example, solar panels or batteries, just to name a couple of elephants in the room. And therefore, it is very important for the companies, for the European companies, to have access to that market in order to see also the trends and innovation that has happened there, that has been there, in order to improve their competitiveness at home and worldwide. I already mentioned that I had a PhD in international business, but before that I did my master in Northeast Italy. And basically, I wanted to look at companies that were going global and international, and they were having the supply chain, how it is. And back in the late 90s, I know that there are a few Italians here also because the composition of the group is heavily Italian, but you will remember delocalization, right? That was the bad word you are delocalizing your company, so basically we will lose the jobs in Europe, that time in Italy. Well, didn't happen actually, and actually the companies that went international proved to be the one that survived rather than actually the ones that just kept it home. And they survived also at home, and they created more jobs. But there was one company that went to Slovakia and then went to China, and I interviewed them, and I was like, oh yeah, so you went to China, late 90s, so it was just to have cheap manufacturing. And they replied, no. Well, yeah, okay, that's good, that's also a good thing. They were producing sensors, automotive industry, whatever. No, we are there because the big companies are already there, like Siemens. And if we want to know what's going to come to the European market in 6 months, we need to be there because that's what was the things happening. So actually, there are two lessons learned from what I said. Like the first one is that what it actually means international business. It really means being global, being international. This is what when we say the world is becoming smaller. This is what it means. But also on the other side, it's for even a small company of 100 people, what means being competitive means being international, means having access to the places where the innovation is happening, where the production is happening, in order to tap into that information, maybe bring it home and become competitive, keep the competitiveness at home. So again, internationalization and competitiveness go hand in hand. Now, back to the EU SME Centre in China. This is the 5th edition, if I may call it like this, of the center. It's been, and one very curious fact, actually, it started being managed by DG DevCo, DG Development, now in INPA. And of course, China is not anymore considered really a developing country in a strict sense. So of course, the baton passed from the DG DevCo to DG Grow, which is the DG for industry, SMEs, and single market and entrepreneurship. So this is also the difference of the orientation that European Commission has toward the center. What is in the mind of what the center should be doing is not only access to the information, access to the market, but it is way more. I know that you're doing matchmaking, trainings, and it is really, in our eyes, should be really the first point of entry where the SMEs can understand better the country that they are entering. The country is enormous. I visited it last summer, and it's my 4th, 5th time, and actually there is always something new. It's a continent almost, basically. So the entities that were in the 4th edition are continuing basically, so it's the already proven team. In the 5th edition, we want to improve the KPIs, of course, and that's always our goal. But one thing that is very important, and I think that here it comes why we are doing that, and all the projects that we are managing in the executive agencies have the same mantra, is that it needs to have European added value. Otherwise, why it's not done in the country. So if we have a project, it has to have European added value. And we know there are a lot of countries that have already their representations there, so maybe they can enter, their companies can go through them. But what is the added value of the center is the European vision. So it's Team Europe play. And that has to be, I think, even further developed, integrated. Also, not all countries have their representations, so that's also important for those countries. And together also with our IP help desk that we have in China, with whom I know that you collaborate very closely, it is important to develop collaborations that go beyond just the center, beyond just the Commission, but also together with all the other European players involved in the local in China. So this is, I will not talk too much because you will have the full day about the center, about China. There are super interesting sessions. So I wish you good work, and I welcome Lorenzo, please.
So I also would like to thank Igor Kalinic for the introduction remarks. Generally thank to the European institutions joining to the event, supporting the project, to the organizations that are joining online and on site today, and of course most important, the SMEs that are the focus of this project. Lorenzo Riccardi, I'm the chairman of the Italian Chamber of Commerce, that is the entity coordinating phase 5 of the consortium EU SME project. I think it's important, as mentioned before, to highlight that is phase 5, so a number in history of the many projects between Europe and China. I would like to mention that this year, 2025, is also a year where we celebrate an anniversary in official diplomatic relations between Europe and China, 50 years, so as a specific meaning. The consortium is composed by 4 partners, 2 in Europe and 2 in China, the Italian Chamber and the European Chamber. They also celebrate certain anniversaries. We will have in a few days 25 years of the establishment of the European Chamber, that has a specific meaning also for European SMEs. And we conducted an academic research for the Italian Chamber of Commerce to highlight that the first chamber has been recognized by the Italian government in 1903. So this we consider a symbol of one of the first, let's say, business organization that had a formal recognition by an European government. So China market was relevant more than 120 years ago. Today, I believe, is much more relevant than before. The EU SME Centre was founded in 16 years ago, so another significant number of the many years we worked on this project, different professionals, organizations, and SMEs. So I believe it's valuable also because of this timeline that I just described. In the timeline, I often use, of course, the percentage or the value of the market of China for our European companies, for our SME companies. I believe today China is more complex in terms of global relations compared to when we started the project 16 years ago, but definitely is larger by economic value, is more relevant on the global stage, as we mentioned, and to be global, to be international from a very small entity and organization is key in today business. So I mention often that the difference, from 10 years ago, European Union GDP percentage on global scale was 23%, and today is around 18%, while China was 4%, and today is 19%, so almost equivalent to the European Union. So this is, of course, something that happened during these 20 years that we shall consider. More complexity means that for our SMEs and for our European companies, we need to face new challenges. The first is the competition with the Chinese companies that are much more advanced compared to the previous years. Means also the slowdown of the Chinese economy. Means that we shall face, of course, global relations, tariffs, a number of issues that we shall evaluate. But as I mentioned, more complexity, but larger economic size. And the opportunities that our SMEs may evaluate in China are focusing, of course, on the size of this market, on the different speed that the different administrative divisions of China have. We shall remember that a single province like Guangdong has an economic value with 120 million people, has an economic value equivalent to one of the top GDP country of the European Union. So we shall evaluate very different speed, very different opportunities and challenges in the different administrative division. We have the innovation that is considered an opportunity by the European companies, the technological development, and the quality that as Europeans we may bring to China, the niche product, and this is considered, of course, a value in the market for our SME companies. So I believe during these years of celebrating the anniversary of different relations, we had a number of missions, political mission, economic missions, business missions. I believe it is very important also the increase of mobility we had also for SMEs based on the visa-free policy that China granted to a large majority of the European Union countries. We always also advocate of course, to the importance of the international mobility to promote cross-border business. And I believe this project have been valued in the timeline, in the importance of the size of this market for European SMEs, and also for the complexity. More complex means that we need to focus to understand China better and more. So I consider, also today's event as a important start of this phase 5 is very relevant for our European SMEs to learn, to understand which are the challenges, but which are also the opportunities. So I would like to thank again the team that I believe has been professional during the various phases, and the institutions that support this project for the very long term, and the various organizations and SMEs that are focusing and are interested to understand better the Chinese market and the opportunities promoting economic relations between Europe and China. Thank you.